I said, so there's lots of developments in this story, particularly on the sort of judicial part of it, right? It's a rapidly changing situation. There's this legal back and forth and arguments about whether they're in contempt or not, the orders and the filings. It can get complicated, also just maintaining like which case is which. But let me just say, I think it's worth taking a step back to take a look at the very not complicated big picture here. And that is this. This entire undertaking by the Trump administration is itself illegal, insanely, flagrantly lawless, and rotten to its core, and it has been from the start. So let's remember how this all started. To begin with, right? The White House kicked off this deportation and renditioning scheme by invoking a little-known 200-year-old law, the Alien Enemies Act, as justification. And to be clear, prior to this administration, that law, the Alien Enemies Act, had only been invoked 3 times before. The War of 1812, when the Brits were here and burning down the White House, World War I, where tens of thousands were dying in the trenches, and World War II. Most infamously, it was used as the justification for Japanese internment camps during the Second World War, one of the most shameful periods of this country's history. But all 3 times this act was invoked, the United States was actually and undeniably at war, right? But in order to create some justification to start this bizarre and appalling spectacle, right? To kick legal residents out of the country, no due process. The White House just decided to pretend like we're at war again. We're at war with Venezuela. Okay, are we? But also, just to be specific, not just Venezuela, we're at war with this one specific gang, Tren de Aragua, which most Americans have never actually heard of. Again, I'm reading from Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act. Tren de Aragua is a designated foreign terrorist organization with thousands of members, many of whom have unlawfully infiltrated the U.S. and are conducting irregular warfare and undertaking hostile actions against the United States. The gang is closely aligned with and indeed has infiltrated the Maduro regime, including its military and law enforcement apparatus. So first things first, it's a lie. They're conducting irregular warfare. This is like Al-Qaeda being here or something. Tren de Aragua is not an arm of Maduro's government. Trump's own experts privately admit as much. The New York Times reported on an assessment from U.S. intelligence agencies, which, quote, concluded the gang was not directed by Venezuela's government or committing crimes in the United States on its orders. So again, it's a lie. It's a lie they know from inside, from their own intelligence assessment. It's on par with George W. Bush's administration's lies about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. But also, and I really can't stress this enough, we're not at war with Venezuela. It's ludicrous to say we are. Not only are we not at war, but the gang they've identified as a foreign terrorist organization being directed by a foreign government is not actually being directed by that government. And they know all this, okay? But then on top of this, they use these foundational lies to give them the power to snatch people off the street because of their tattoos, which they have decided mark them as soldiers in the war they've made up out of whole cloth. Like the gay makeup artist with crown tattoos, or the man with an autism awareness tattoo in tribute to his little brother with autism, or the singer and father of a newborn child with a hummingbird inked on his neck. One guy went so far as to get a declaration from his tattoo artist confirming his tattoos, including a rose, were not gang-related. The kicker to all of this is that according to the journalist who literally wrote the book on Tren de Aragua, quote, Venezuelan gangs are not identified by tattoos. To be a member of one of these Venezuelan organizations, you don't need a tattoo. So on top of the lies and the absurdities, this war they've invented that doesn't exist, the power the government says they say has but doesn't have, they're using something to target people that has nothing to do whatsoever with the deadly menace they themselves cite as the pretext for the whole thing. It's all made up. All of it.